Hello. Well, I have something very fun today for you. It's Odd Count Peyote, and since this video is live, I'm just waiting on some people to get on before I get started. So it usually takes a few seconds or a minute or two maybe even, for Facebook to get the video going. So if you're watching a recorded version, I do apologize because you're just going to be sitting here looking at the screen. But anyway, so in today's lesson, I'm going to be showing you how to do odd count peyote. And I have an odd number of beads. These are delica beads that I have set up. So I have an odd number and I will show you what to do with that. But I just want to show you a couple examples. So this is actually peyote. This is even count. So it's 3-drop peyote. So every stitch I do starts with 3 beads. And so you have to count each set of 3 as a unit. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so this is even count peyote. But I like how this shows this kind of pretty checkered pattern. Now, over here, in this bracelet is actually even count, or sorry, this is actually odd count, and it is 2-drop peyote. So if you look at the units, and these are done with delica beads. So if you look at the units here, this is 2-drop. And so my first set of units is these 2 gold beads, and then I've got a gold and a black as my second, as third, fourth, fifth, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So this is actually odd count. And so I'm going to show you how to do odd count, because one of the nice things about doing odd count peyote is that you can do some of these more symmetrical patterns. No, Steph, you're not late. I was just sort of chatting randomly. I haven't started anything. We're doing odd count peyote. So as you can see, I have my bead set up, but I was just waiting on people to actually join. So how are you this evening? I'm glad you're watching. So as I was saying, we're doing odd count peyote, and what I originally started with was this bracelet here, and this is a 3-drop peyote bracelet. And this one's even, so each unit of 3 beads counts as 1 unit essentially. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one here is actually 9 units of 2-drop. Ooh, I hope you're all right. Emergency room, wow. Or do you just work there? I guess I assumed it was an emergency. Hi, Yvette. And so I have odd count here, so this is 2-drop peyote, and so each unit is 2 beads, so this is 1, and then the gold and the black together is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So what's nice about odd count is that you can do more symmetrical patterns with it. But a lot of people shy away from odd count because there's a few extra steps to doing odd count. I've got one more example. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that you're okay. And so here's another example of odd count. And this is a ring pattern that I did. And this one's actually, this is single peyote or 1-drop peyote. Hi, Norma. How are you? And this one's a little more complicated of a pattern, but also easy to do though. A lot of people avoid odd count because they think it's more complicated, but it's not. So what I have here are, so I've got my wildfire thread. This is the 0.006 thread in black this time. I've got 2 colors of delica beads, and these are both 11, size 11 delicas. And over here on my thread, I've got 7 beads. So we're going to do odd count. I am doing really well this evening. I'm excited to show you guys how to do odd count peyote. So for those of you watching, give me a 1 in the comment if you have done odd count peyote, and a 2 in the comment if you avoid odd count. just because of the extra steps, or just don't know how to go about doing odd count. Anyway, so let's get started on this. And so what I'm going to do is pick up. So you would start this just like you would start any normal peyote. So I'm here, I'm going to skip this bead here. I've picked up one of my beads, and I'm just going to go straight into the white bead. And I'm going to push these beads down to get it all to straighten itself out. All right, so this looks I'm a lot more clumsier at this right now. There we go. Okay, there, I got it side by side. And so there's our first one. Then again, you pick up a bead, you skip the bead, and you go into the white ones. So basically I'm going to skip the blue purple beads, and I'm going to go into the white beads. Pick one up, and I thought I had two in my needle there, and go into the white. All right, so we still have, move my stopper bead. So I still have the one bead, if you guys can see, I still have that bead. So how do I add a bead there? How do I go about doing this? And the way I've done this is basically, what I do is now go into this bead here. I don't have a bead on my needle at all. So you go into your last bead. So this is sort of the quick and easy method to do. So I'm going to show you actually two different ways to do this. This is the quick and easy one. So you go into this bead, coming out of that bead. Now what you're going to do is actually pick up a bead, and you're going to do ladder stitch. And so I'm just going to go back around through that same last bead. And you want to just pull it tight enough so that they end up side by side like they do in ladder stitch. So there you go. See how they're side by side? And then you take your thread and move that tail thread out of the way, and you come up back through this new bead that we added. And there it is. So there is our, this is what I call the quick and dirty method of doing odd count. And then you would turn your work, and then you would just continue on your way. So now I'm just going to pick up, for this row, all I have to do is add the white beads. So just pick up your next bead here, and you just go up. Oh, going up too many beads there. And up. So usually one row is not a problem. It's always, so this one's easy enough. You're all set up, no big deal. Now we flip the work, and we're going to come back up. So you go up into this, and okay, so now we're back at that hoe odd count dilemma. So the other method, now you can always go through this bead here and then do a little ladder stitch, and you'll get your bead added and you'll be set. Now, but there's another method to this that you can do. And the other method is a little bit more, there's a couple little more steps to it. So you take your bead and you go down into this bead from this direction. Yeah, there's just a couple more steps to it, so some people don't like the extra little bit to it, that's all. So you go down from this direction, and here's the thing though, you can't go up this way because you actually want your thread to come down this way, because when you add your next row, you actually have to work down that way. So what you do is now continue down one more row, and you go into this white. Then you have to go across to this other white. And then this way. Oh no, don't get tangled. Oh good. Thought I was gonna get a knot there. It's like, no, I'm live. And then we are in position to come out this way, which is what we need. So let me just go through that again. So what I did there was I had this bead, I picked it up and I went down this bead, down the white, then across and up this white, and then through this one, came out this way, and then came down. So you can see there's quite a few extra little steps to do in that particular way of doing it. You can do either one, but the one thing to caution about is a lot of times it's very much dependent on your pattern as to how you would go about doing it. And let me show you what I mean. So in this particular bracelet, I did odd count, and the pattern is, you know, it doesn't really matter too much on the ends how the beads are set because of the way the arrow pattern that I have going on here. But in this one, where I did do ladder stitch, or where I ladder stitch on my, so this was the side where I did the ladder stitch, but you can see what it did was it threw off my pattern a little bit. It offsets the bead. Yes, it does reinforce more, but when you do the ladder stitch way, it also is very much like, as I said, it depends on your pattern. So if you have a complicated pattern like this one, you need all the beads to align properly. My beads are offset and they don't completely align. You can see this one here, the point is offset and doesn't completely align. Versus over here, you can see my little black beads are completely set. This was the even side and that's the odd count side. So that's the thing. So the two methods are great, but it really depends on your pattern. So I would recommend using the more complex way that I just showed you, you know, way number 2 to do, okay, I can't speak. Sorry about that. I would say use method number 2 when you have a pattern that's complicated like this, because you want your beads to sit properly and it doesn't get screwed up. So I learned this the hard way. I had this ring all made up and just didn't really pay attention. I should have been paying better attention. Now, method number 1 is perfectly okay for a pattern like this, or if you're doing something like what I have here, where you're just doing striped pattern, it doesn't matter if the bead is slightly offset. I hope that all, if that made sense, give me a thumbs up, guys. It was a little complicated explanation there, but I hope that all makes sense. So I'm going to show you each of these one more time, both methods, and we'll go from there. So I am on my white bead. Okay, good. I'm glad it's making sense. I'm glad I'm explaining it in a way that makes sense. So this is the easy side. You're just going straight through the beads. You're all set, no worries. And then when we switch to the blue, this is when our odd count comes in. So okay, so method number 1, you would go through the white and you go through your last bead here. like so. And then you would do ladder stitch. So you pick up a bead and you go back through your first bead and you go down this first bead again. And you're set, and then you can continue on your way. So we can continue with our white and adding that. Delicas are so itty bitty. And now I'm going to show you method number 2. So just work our way up to the end. And I went up 1 bead too many. So now what you would do, method number 2, the more complicated method, is to pick up a bead and go down into these 2 beads. So you go down into the 2 beads there, the white, the blue and the white. Make sure your bead sits properly. Go across to the white. Then into this blue here. And then back through your blue. So you're set up to go back up the rows. So we just turn the work and you get to work your way back up. And as I said, both methods are good. It just depends on the kind of pattern you're doing. So I like doing the ladder stitch pattern when it's a simple stripe pattern. You can move along with Odd Count Peyote with no issues. But with a more complex pattern, you kind of have to watch the alignment. Anyway, do you guys have any questions for me that I can answer? And I hope that all made sense and that this was helpful for you guys. So if it is helpful or you think someone else might find it helpful, please share the video. And so today was day 14 of my 30-day challenge. And I will see you guys tomorrow then, 9 p.m. Central Time again. And I will have something else, something new to show you. So good night, guys. Have a good evening. Bye.